You don't question the relationship. You question yourself. You wonder if you're too sensitive, too demanding, too emotional, and every time something feels wrong, you tell yourself you're overreacting. That's how it starts. Not with a breakup, not with a disaster, but with small doubts you silence. You tell yourself love takes work. You tell yourself every couple struggles. You tell yourself this is just a rough phase. But there's a difference between effort and erosion. And if you've been feeling more anxious than secure, more drained than supported, more confused than calm, that's not normal relationship work. That's your nervous system trying to warn you. The hardest truth: you can love someone deeply and still be completely wrong for each other. And if you don't recognize the signs early, you don't just lose the relationship. You slowly lose yourself. Here are 7 signs that might prove you already know the truth, even if you don't want to admit it. Sign 1. You feel more anxious than secure, not once in a while, consistently. You overthink your messages before sending them. You rehearse conversations in your head. You analyze their tone, their pauses, their silence. You don't feel calm. You feel evaluated. When you're with the right person, your body relaxes. You don't feel like you're constantly being measured. When you're with the wrong one, your nervous system never fully settles. And love isn't supposed to feel like walking on eggshells. Sign 2. You keep justifying things that hurt you. You say they didn't mean it like that. You say they're just stressed. You say you're being too sensitive. But deep down, it's not just one bad day. It's a pattern. And every time you excuse it, something inside you gets quieter. You start doubting your own reactions, your own standards, your own boundaries, until one day you don't even recognize what feels normal anymore. Sign 3. You feel lonelier in the relationship than you did alone. You sit next to them, but you feel miles away. You stop sharing certain thoughts because it doesn't feel worth it. You stop expecting understanding. You stop expecting emotional depth. And that kind of loneliness is heavy because you can't blame it on being single. You're not alone. You're unseen. Sign 4. You shrink parts of yourself to avoid conflict. You soften your opinions. You censor your jokes. You adjust your tone, not because you've grown, but because you're trying to prevent tension. You become more agreeable, more quiet, more careful, and slowly you trade authenticity for stability. But stability built on self-erasure never lasts. Sign 5. You imagine leaving more often than you imagine building a future together. You picture life without the constant doubt, without the tension, without the emotional exhaustion. And when you think about staying long-term, it doesn't feel exciting. It feels heavy. That's not commitment. That's endurance. Sin 6. Your friends notice a shift before you do. They say, you seem tired, distant, less like yourself, and you defend the relationship immediately. Because admitting something is wrong would force you to face a difficult choice. But sometimes the people outside can see what you're too close to notice. Sign 7. You're staying more out of fear than love. Fear of starting over, fear of loneliness, fear of regret. So you convince yourself at Esigaidina, but good enough slowly becomes not okay. And not okay slowly becomes your normal. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Being with the wrong person doesn't always explode your life. Sometimes it just slowly drains it. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. The wrong person doesn't always break your heart overnight. Sometimes they slowly disconnect you from yourself. You don't notice it at first. You just feel a little more tired, a little less expressive, a little more careful, until one day you realize you've been surviving the relationship instead of living in it. And at some point, staying becomes a choice, not a mistake, not confusion, a choice. You can't control who you fall for, but you can decide how long you ignore what it's doing to you. The hard part isn't admitting they're wrong for you. The hard part is admitting you already knew. And if you stay after knowing, it's no longer about love. It's about fear. The fear of being alone. The fear of starting over. the fear that you want to find better. But staying in something that slowly erodes you doesn't protect you from pain. It just spreads it out over time. So here's the real question. Are you staying because it's healthy or because it's familiar? There's a difference, and your future depends on it. If this hit deeper than you expected, write this in the comments. I choose peace, not for anyone else, for you. And if you want to stop repeating patterns you already recognize, subscribe. Because the right relationship starts with understanding why you stayed in the wrong ones. You don't need perfection. You need alignment. And the moment you stop shrinking, everything changes.